the countdown here. And then number 4, the course schedule. Just kind of remember where we are. So Wednesday, we were in the classroom. Thursday, we were in the wedding venue walking through everything. Yesterday was the wedding. And now it's all said and done. Seems like it was pretty, now that we know we did it, I'll tell you what, Wednesday and Thursday, we didn't really know we could pull it off, so we pulled it off. Today, Saturday, from noon to 5 p.m., we are working with the students and just kind of recapping everything. And then tomorrow will be more focused on the work that wedding photographers face after the wedding. All right, so all that lead up, I hope you've been retweeting. It is time to hold 2 drawings. And Sarah, are you ready to capture these people so we can send out their winning tweets? All right, so the first one is for the Leather Craftsman. This is the portfolio package. Drum roll. There we go. And it is Aaron Fong from Melbourne, Australia, which is terrific because people were tweeting earlier and complaining that we were only seeing American winners. So it's all random. So Aaron Fong. And let me just get a screenshot of that just in case. And number 2 is for the $100 gift certificate for Kubota. And I need to rerun that one. All right, so this is the second drawing today. Ready? Drum roll. Deja Webster in Port Townsend, Washington, local, very close to Seattle. All right. So you got that, Sarah? All right, fantastic.
Very cool.
So I think that does it with my intro. Let me just jump back and see how long that download is taking, because it would be kind of cool to show.
Craig,
It's going to take about 20 minutes.
I have a question for you from the internet.
Yeah.
Do you sleep? Ever?
Yes. Yes.
You do?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
So it is telling. It is telling. I found myself just answering questions this morning, and they said, "Do you get some sleep?" And I said, "No, I actually went to sleep pretty early last night. I went to bed at 2:30, as opposed to everybody else that was up till 5:30. I will sleep Monday." Yeah. All right. So what we had scheduled originally was for Danielle to come in and talk about kind of the wedding coordination side of things. She's not here, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to go around and just some of our other students actually slept in as well. So everybody is recovering. We are going to go through. You've come to know some of our students just from tweets and from everything else. So let's go around one at a time. Have you introduce each other just quickly, yourselves quickly, and then we'll start taking questions and answers. And then you can also kind of talk about your own learning, about what this has been like for you. So maybe like 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, just kind of introduce yourself and maybe what this experience has meant to you so far and what you've gotten out of this. And then we'll just kind of see what the internet wants to ask.
Okay, great. My name is Audrey Smith. I'm from Copenhagen, Denmark. And if you want to follow me, my Twitter handle is Audrey Smith Photo. This experience has been just mind-blowing. I knew I'd get a lot out of it, but it's just going way beyond my expectations, and it's connected me with people that are writing to me saying, "Hey, I'm a photographer in Sweden. How about we just connect and maybe meet at some point and just chat about our market?" And people just also sending me their experience of the Creative Life course. Is this photographer who sent me her blog, and she's like, "Hey, I was so excited during the whole workshop that I took pictures. While you guys were shooting, took pictures of my screen, but I took pictures anyway." And it was just great to connect with people on top of the other good things that are happening here in the classroom. So, that's it for me.
That's fantastic.
Awesome. My name is Nate Perks. I am from Star, Idaho, just a little town outside of Boise, Idaho. And just like Audrey said, this has been unbelievable. Absolutely exceeded my expectations. I knew Jasmine and JD were going to be fabulous and that this was going to be an incredible event, but this is blowing me away. And one of my favorite parts about it is yesterday, while we weren't shooting, we kind of did a tag team. We were at a restaurant down the street, just kind of hanging out and all talking. And every night, I think every night we've gone out to eat or been together with the other students. And every time we get together, we just talk about how mind-blowing this is and how life-changing this is and how incredible it is. And I think one of the greatest things that I have learned from this, one of the things that is still just kind of setting in my mind, is that we have the permission to be ourselves. And as a photographer, it's really, really important to be yourself, to truly be who you are, because if you're yourself, then you attract the right kind of people that you're going to want to photograph. And that's something that has blown me away, because I've started to learn that are we having audio issues? Oh, okay.
No.
That's blown me away, because it's so relieving to be able to be yourself. And I think that's something that Jasmine does better than anyone in this world, is she's completely herself. And so it's been amazing. If you want to follow me on Twitter, my handle is at Nate Perks. And so it's NatePerkes. This has been an absolutely incredible event, and I'm excited to hear all your questions.
And we should mention that that Danielle Faget has just joined us. She's sitting with us right now. Hi, Danielle.
Hi there.
All right. We're just going around, and we've had a couple students that have slept in. And we're going around and just introducing everyone really quick.
I'm Stephanie Miller from Los Angeles, and my Twitter handle is smillerphotos. This experience, I can't say anything bad about it. I was so nervous to come and be on camera and to be like the kid who knew nothing, but it really hasn't mattered at all. I feel like everyone here has been so helpful, and I've learned so much, and I actually got to shoot the bride getting ready and the ceremony, which are my absolute favorite parts of the day. And working with Jasmine and with JD, the communication was there, and it was like a dance going around, and I felt like we were all in sync. So it was really fun to do that with them.
All right. And then Danielle, you're the designer behind what Jasmine was shooting all day yesterday, we had a chance to talk to you a little bit before the wedding, but maybe why don't I bring you up in a little bit? Why don't we do a little bit of Q&A with the students? The internet has some questions from the students, and then I actually have the images that you sent me, and we can have you come up here and maybe talk a little bit about. We thought Danielle could be open for people to ask questions about working with wedding designers, wedding coordinators, and also about how she gets her photographer's work published in various magazines.
Perfect.
Great. All right. So, Kenna, Susan, are people asking anything on the internet?
Yes, they are. Ken Stead has asked, how do you see things differently while working with Jasmine, or did your old style take over?
Okay, I'll go ahead and
Go for it, Nate.
That's a really good question, because being with Jasmine and being in this event, this 5-day workshop, has completely made me see things differently. Being able to see how focused Jasmine is on creating her brand, and that's something that I didn't think about as much before. When I went to go shoot a wedding, I was shooting a wedding, and yeah, my style came out and everything, but Jasmine has her 3 words. They're fun, fabulous, and fresh, and she really emphasized on those 3 words. And making sure every image that you photograph, you're portraying those 3 words. And I think that's really, really important. And so I've been thinking about my 3 words, kind of playing around with different words. And I've been able to see Jasmine and JD, as they're photographing, they are thinking about their 3 words. And they are working on creating a stronger brand. And that is something to me that has really changed my outlook. Just thinking about my brand 24/7 and trying to put that brand out there. And really kind of defining my style and how I shoot. I don't know if I answered the question. I apologize.
Yes, you
if I
did,
didn't.
definitely. And I think the whole bit about everything being a division of your brand, I thought that was just a new term and way to think about it. Everything is a division of your brand.
Yeah. And I thought also that seeing them work together was terrific. It was the kind of teamwork that they have going on is really amazing, and I think that their brand is much stronger because of the work that they can achieve as a team together.
Yeah, everyone needs a JD.
Yeah.
He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing.
He
My
is.
dad texted me this morning. He's been watching the whole time, and he texted me. He's like, everyone needs a JD. They work
I'm
together.
gonna tweet that.
Yeah, they work together so well. It's absolutely amazing that they can communicate without even talking, and they are so in sync with each other. They're the perfect yin and yang couple. It's amazing.
Jasmine said yesterday that he was her secret weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think she knows. I think she appreciates it and
Yeah,
knows
for
how
sure.
important he is in the whole thing. So kind of leads to the next question from May in the chat room. Were you able to incorporate your 3-word style into the shoot time yesterday?
I definitely think so. I mean, when I look at a wedding and look at the bride and groom, I see, one of my words was classy, and I see those classic moments, and that's what I really go for. I look for when they're looking into each other's eyes and when they are, holding each other's hands, and those moments are classic, and that's what I was really shooting.
Awesome. How about you two?
Yeah, for me it was a mix of wanting my own style in the pictures, but also just trying to think about Jasmine's brand, because I was shooting for her, and I knew that also. So
It's a great point.
along the day, I was trying to mix the two together and see what I could bring to her brand while leaving it her brand.
That's a lot of words in your head.
Actually,
Right?
6 words.
Yeah.
That's something actually I'd like to see us ask Jasmine when she comes back is how, where does your brand fall when you're second shooting? How
Oh, right.
when you're building your
when
portfolio.
she's the second shooter.
Well, I doubt she's the second shooter.
No, but
lately,
she was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She was.
recently.
Yeah.
It's really true. It's she gave us kind of a little pep talk beforehand. She talked about how important this is and how you're right. When I think and obviously she can answer for herself, but I think when she is second shooting, she is letting that brand of that first shooter kind of go out there, and she doesn't try to take away from that. And that's one thing that she kind of mentioned to us as well, is that we are still representing the brand of Jasmine Star, and so I think Audrey's right. Yesterday we could focus on our 3 words a little bit, but I think especially on the first look the day before on Thursday, we were really able to focus on our 3 words. She told us we could shoot for us, which was really fun because we all had a chance to kind of take Billy and Laura and kind of create something that were symbolic of our 3 words. But for sure, I think they're always in your head. I mean, your style of shooting can't really leave you. Even if you're trying to shoot for someone else, you've got your own style. So it's definitely always there in the back of your mind, but you also want to get the right kind of images for Jasmine and JD because you are shooting backup for them.
Well, and I was watching the rewatch because, of course, I can't watch it while this is happening. And there are a number of times where she is really focused on, her task, and she talks about the fact that she knows her second and third shooters are taking care of this stuff for her, and she's relying on them to take care of this because she can't.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Did you feel it when you're out there?
Not,
The pressure?
it wasn't really.
But, even JD said yesterday, he was like, oh, it was great to have you guys as third shooter because I had some stress off me. So Jasmine had some stress off, and so did JD. So.
And Mindy Green won on Twitter and had asked you specifically, Audrey, how you felt when JD had said he would love to have you as third shooter all the time.
Oh, yeah. I told him afterwards he gave me way too much credit at that one point, but it was live and on the internet, but it was very nice of him to see that. I know I had just a lot of fun working with them. It was great.
So Rafhan on Twitter asks, and Nate, you talked about branding, but what is the thing that you'll work on with highest priority after this course?
I think just that branding. I think it's so huge. Creating universal branding between my website, my blog, my business cards, whatever it is, the way I interact with people, my emails, the first communication that I have with my clients, the biggest thing I think will be branding and incorporating myself into that branding. Not just going to someone to design a brand for me, but incorporating myself, my personality, my loves, who I am into that branding, so that people, when they see that branding, they get a piece of Nate Perks. They get a piece of you, and they feel like, I think one of the greatest things, one of the greatest compliments that a lot of people have shared with Jasmine is that they feel like they know her without ever even meeting her. And so she's done so amazing at sharing herself with people so they feel like they know her. And it's true. I felt like I knew her before I even came to this event, and she's so true to herself.
I think that's a really important thing overall about branding. A lot of times people talk about branding and someone who doesn't get very personal and just hires a branding company to brand them, and it's not all about having matching letterhead and matching cards and having, you know, your blog and everything match. It's all about putting yourself into it, because if you have someone else brand you and you just kind of follow along with it, then yourself isn't in it, and people are going to get confused. Yes, they see an overall image that brands you, but it's not you. And so I think what Jasmine is brilliant at is putting herself into her brand, and her brand is her and what she creates, and I think that's why people feel comfortable with her, why she makes people feel comfortable, and everything fits together. And so that's much different than, like you said, Nate, going and having a company brand you and paying them just to kind of do that for you. You have to put yourself into it first.
You know, can I just say, I think that's huge. I think that's huge. I think a lot of people brand themselves for the person they would like to be
Yes.
instead of the person that they are. And I think one of the things that really comes through, I mean, and you can never know from the letterhead whether they're branding for the person they want to be or the person they are. But you know, I think it's really clear that Jasmine is being Jasmine, and that happens to very much match with her brand. And I'm not sure. I mean, and I know we get that in person. Yeah. So that's
Deep thoughts.
yeah.
Good advice. Okay, another question from the chat room, from Shutterclick. Can the students describe something that occurred that they were unprepared for?
I was unprepared for the first day of the first look, and you know, we thought we were shooting inside where the first look was, so I knew, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have them pose like this, and I'm gonna bring the chairs over, and I was so ready. And then we moved outside, and I was like, okay, wait, I gotta get my mind around this. And Jasmine says, are you ready? And I go, oh, okay.
And the light was changing.
And the light was
sun and the
changing,
clouds
and you know, I was completely unprepared for that, and that's actually where I said I froze up. I mean, I had no idea, and I was like, come this way, and she, you know, she was very awkwardly posed, but I tried to roll with it. That's all I could do.
And you did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good job. Either of you guys have comments on the unprepared?
Yeah, I think that moment too was, for me, same as Stephanie. I thought we'd stay inside. Nope, we didn't. And so, you know, you deal with it and you learn from it. And even if you don't rock it right at the moment, then you just take what you can out of it. So.
Yeah, it was scary. It was. I got lucky. I got to stay inside, but still, she told us about an hour beforehand that she was going to give us. At first, I thought she was going to give like 1 or 2 students like 5 minutes, but then like I started to realize that she was going to give everyone 5 minutes to kind of pose them, and I was nervous. It was unexpected and it was hard, but I'm really glad that she made us do that, because she made all of us go completely out of our comfort zone. And when you do that, obviously you learn a lot, and I definitely learned a lot, and it was an incredible experience.
And it was fun for me to watch you guys, because I saw that nervousness, but then you had to get in the zone, and you did. So it was fun to watch.
And I think in general at weddings that happens anyway. I mean, a bride can all of a sudden say, hey, you know, I see this cool bridge over here. I want a photo here. Or like yesterday, Laura decided, oh, I want to go, you know, mingle with the guests right now. You know, we were like about 40 minutes ahead of schedule to have that big grand entrance, and, you know, brides and grooms, those are our clients. We have to make them happy. So if all of a sudden, you know, there's a break in the sun and after it was raining and they said they want a couple pictures outside, you have to be prepared as photographers to, you know, switch your thinking about the lighting, about the equipment that you have and the lens that you have on, and be able to switch over and make that happen for the client. And so I think that was probably a great experience.
Yeah.
It was.
Well, we got more questions.
Keep going.
Keep them coming.
Okay, this is from May for Nate. Do you
Okay.
think that Jasmine's marketing tips will work for you in the small town of Star?
It's funny because I asked Jasmine that same question, a similar question,
I
a couple days.
remember.
It was yes or no, 2 days ago, if I felt like I should market outside my community. And the way she answered, I think it will. I think her branding techniques apply everywhere, no matter who you are. I think the biggest part of her branding technique is to be yourself, and that's something that I've learned so much, is that have the freedom to be yourself, and people will love you for it. And the people that you'll attract to your blog will be very much like you, and they'll be great, great clients. She connects and repels, and that blows me away, that she is repelling people that might not be the best fit, but she connects with people that would be great fits. And so I think whether you're from a small town or a big city, I think you can always be connecting and repelling and connecting with the right kinds of brides. And
That's a
so,
great
yeah, I think it's
answer.
very, very applicable.
Great answer.
Thanks.
And keep it real.
Keep it real. I love it. Keep it real.
Janet Kwan on Twitter is asking if you ever felt like you were in the way of JD or Jasmine while you were third shooting.
When I was doing the bride getting ready, I put on my lazy girl lens. I used my 24-70 and I stepped back. I was not getting in Jasmine's way. She was like in the mode. She was in the zone. I was like, I'm not going to get in her way. So I put that on and I was able to zoom in and be where I needed to be. And, you know, during the ceremony, I had on the big 70 to 200. So, you know, I kind of watched where they were and I just rotated whenever they did.
Great.
Right. And I see we've got a couple new people to join into the crowd. Come on in. See if you can find your way through the maze of our
A couple sleepy heads.
of our set. All right.
So we have Sachin and Victoria joining us.
Yeah. We've just been introducing. We introduced all ourselves individually to the internet for those that might have missed us along the
You
way.
noticed?
And
We color coordinated today.
oh,
That was
excellent.
beautiful. I did not get the tweet
No,
about
no.
that one.
People online are happy to see you guys. Welcome.
Why don't you both take a minute to just kind of introduce yourself and let people know maybe a little bit about what you've got out of the last 3 days so far and what it was like third shooting with Jasmine, and then now that people know you're here, that we're going to start getting pelted with questions.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
It was an amazing experience to second shoot with or third shoot with Jasmine and JD. Yeah, it was just unbelievable. I got a lot out of it. It's just interesting to see how they work and how they move and what they're kind of focusing on. I second shoot a lot, and I've predominantly only second shooted, so I felt very comfortable within that zone, and it was good. I tried to get images that they were getting, but then at the same time focus on areas that other things were going on within the venue, and try and get some candid moments as well, and try and give them something different to add to their collection. So yeah, it was awesome.
That's great, because that's what Jasmine and JD were sort of asking you to do, is get those moments that they couldn't get.
Exactly.
And I was looking at some of yours afterwards, and they were awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Victoria?
For me, I don't second shoot very often, so it was a totally new experience. And at one point, I just remember sort of standing back and just watching the synergy between them, which I thought was amazing. Like, Jasmine would move, and JD would just have this sort of psychic brainwave of knowing where to go, and they would just sort of move around together. And I watched a little bit because I thought it was just cool the way they worked together. And I did a little bit of the same as Sachin. When they were shooting something, I was trying to shoot something totally different. So I would go and I did a lot of candids yesterday, and it was fun because the guests were awesome. Everybody was super friendly, and the whole family is so nice, and everybody was really into it, so it was fun, and I chatted with people a bit, and it was good. It was a good learning experience. I wish I could have seen more of what Jasmine was doing, but I'll watch that on the rewatch.
Yeah.
Exactly. Nate, you talked a little bit about this, but maybe for the internet, if one of you could talk about what Jasmine did say to you with regard to being a third shooter, second shooter. Do the third shooters get to keep their images? If so, will you post them on the website, on your website? So if somebody could talk to that a little bit.
We are going to keep our images, and after Jasmine posts her images first, we have permission to go ahead and put them on our blogs.
Awesome. I have a question.
We'll retweet those.
And we'll have them available for everyone.
And let me just also see if we can credit the names of the people who are asking their questions too, whenever possible.
Sure.
So Jen from the chat room would
That
like
was that was Click Carry. Thanks.
Jen from the chat room would like to know, what is the one thing that you would have done differently for this wedding if it was yours?
Good question.
1 year instead of 4 weeks.
It wouldn't wouldn't be live.
Yeah. No, mine would be live, but,
Yeah.
but it would be a longer time frame to plan it.
It didn't seem like it was planned in 4 weeks, though. I mean, from my perspective, when we got there, it seemed like it was really pulled together. The venue looked phenomenal. Everything seemed to go off really well. It seemed like a really well-planned wedding. So, kudos to you. You did a great job. I mean, and you had a good team. And a lot of, I don't know if you shot a lot of what happened sort of in the in-between times when everybody was running around, sort of resetting the room and stuff. But it was cool. Everybody lent a hand, and everyone helped out. And it seemed really well-planned. So
Thanks,
Yeah, brilliant. For me, just shooting-wise, something that maybe I would have done differently is I like to location scout. We usually get to a venue and just like if we're there 15 minutes before or something, we quickly scout around the area, see where there's some beautiful backgrounds and things like that. So on our break, I just literally pretended or whatever that I had, 5 minutes to go around, and I shot a few different backgrounds to just say to myself, when you're going to do your own wedding, how would you do this? You've got 5 minutes, the pressure's on. So I just went around, I saw some cool steps, there were some really nice seats, some beautiful red and yellow backgrounds around there and stuff. So for me, that's something that I would have maybe done for that wedding. But they were just I'm mumbling. Someone else.
Good morning.
Yeah.
maybe we can go on to another question.
I just want to throw out one thought. I was just thinking about this, just watching this, because I have supported and worked with primarily commercial photographers, and shooting the details that Jasmine was shooting, and not so much how she was shooting, but just the realization of how many details to shoot in how little time. I mean, each one of those detail shots could be a 3-hour to 4-hour, shoot for a commercial photographer if that was your primary client. And here, here she's doing it while everybody is outside getting a photo taken just to distract them from the fact that the whole room is being turned around. And she has to do the chandeliers, and she has to do this, and she has to do that, and there's just this list of basically, it sounded like almost everything that Danielle, that you touched to put together, she had to go capture in the moment there.
Right.
Whereas in a commercial world, that would have happened, on an assembly line in a,
Hours on end.
Hours
getting
on
the
end.
lighting just right.
Mhm.
Usually in a commercial shoot, which we've done a lot too.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can move the lighting. You can do all these different things. And you have this huge time frame. At a wedding or any kind of event like that. You have whatever's there, and you have to make it work. And so I think one of her huge talents is making it work and really using everything and optimizing it to get that shot in a short amount of time with people running around and.
And I think she talked about that you have to be a commercial photographer, a photojournalist, a product photographer, a
Many hats.
all types, master of all types.
Okay, next question from Rusty Tripod in the chat room. Can you give, they ask, give one example where you found yourself coming up short in a way that surprised you. What was an aha moment?
Well, I don't know. Jasmine and JD are really good at looking at what's in the background. I don't know if I'm going to be answering the question right, but I remember I was shooting the first dance, and I'm like, these are so cool. I'm looking at my images, I'm like, these are awesome, these are awesome. And all of a sudden, near the very, very end of the first dance, I'm looking down, I'm like, oh, I'm such a moron. I've got Jasmine's softbox right in the background, right over their head, that obviously doesn't go in quite the wedding designing. It doesn't really fit with all the decor of the wedding, and so I'm like, no, I've got this wedding, light softbox in the background. So I guess falling up short, definitely, they are always looking for the exact perfect angles and the perfect light and the great light, and I guess just keeping an eye open for that kind of stuff. So I don't know if I answered that, but
Aha.
aha.
For me, it was the light was very tricky yesterday. I found in the room, and I fall a bit short on that because I'm obviously still learning. And so sometimes I'm like, oh, this would click. I'm like, oh no, that I shouldn't have done that way. But I learned to look around the room and see where best light would be, and it was definitely a good learning experience to be working in that room. So. But that was big. You need to spend more time on learning all about lighting.
Yeah, Jasmine, when she was talking about using natural reflectors, the light was so tricky in the room because you had this really bright light coming in from the window, and that's where all the guests were arriving, and everybody was standing there. And I was doing candid, so I didn't want to go up to people and go, oh, could you just just move like 2 feet over this way, you know, because then you kind of lose the spontaneity of the moment. But instead, I sort of realized, okay, well, wait a second, what if instead of standing here, I'm going to go all the way over there, I'm going to stand on the other side, and, you know, so, and then I looked for when people were standing in that good spot that was just 2 feet outside of the light so that I could use the light bouncing off the floor into their face. So that was kind of, for me, that was like, oh my God, yeah, why don't I do that more often? Aha.
Okay, next question. Nate, you were talking about not looking down and seeing. How often are you checking your images to make sure you got them right versus continuing to just shoot to make sure you're not going to miss the next thing? And that was actually my question.
I personally do a lot. I'm kind of a cheater in the sense that I'll look at what I'm getting. I want to make sure what I'm getting is good, and I'm not good enough to be like, oh yes, that's 250 for the second at f3.5, and just to know it. I mean, I'm taking pictures and I'm making sure I'm getting my right exposures, and so a lot. That's just me personally though, but I look a lot to make sure I'm hitting my exposures.
And did you guys observe Jasmine and JD, and how much were they sort of checking their histograms and such?
I think Jasmine would, like, I would see her, she would shoot, and then she would just, she's so fast, though. She's like, you know, like a firefly
with
or something.
everything.
She's bouncing around. And she would just really quickly check, and then it would seem like when she got the light right, then she would keep going, you know? So she would check the first one, and then boom, I've got it, shoot. So
one of the things I've learned is, like, basically, I think it was Becca who said, you know, once you've got the light right, and say you're an aperture priority or something, and you can tell it's right, and you're flicking to manual, just lock it and rock it. Like if the light is the same, it's not going to change. Just keep going with it, basically. But I noticed Jasmine yesterday. You know, she can just, as soon as the sun creeps out of a cloud, it gets brighter. She knows straight away, and she knows, you know, that I need to underexpose, whatever it may be. And I think that just comes with practice, and that's the main thing. I mean, just always practice, always be outside, have your camera with you. When it's not important, just be shooting with your friends and family, and just notice how the light's changing. Is someone in the shade? Are they in the light? Are they, you know, has the sun come out of the clouds? Or, you know, just keep an eye on the light all the time. And I think Jasmine, obviously, she's a professional. She can just see that and knows it. It's like second nature to her. So.
Yep. Okay. Lovebug in the chat would like to know if any of you have attended photography school, or if everyone here is self-taught.
Self-taught?
Self-taught for a long period of time, but I've been to Strobist classes, so just been to a flash photography because there's so much learning. I just wanted some structure, so I went to a photography class on that, and another photography class maybe about 3 years ago, just to, you know, really get to understand, you know, aperture, shutter speed, shooting manual. I think everyone's kind of self-taught by the end of the day. You're still learning. You're going to be online. You're speaking to other people. Everyone's a teacher. You know, yesterday we were all talking about, you know, our cameras and stuff. So you're constantly studying, and I don't think you can really learn everything by yourself without talking to someone or whatever. But having paid for stuff, probably, yeah, those 2 classes, and highly recommend it.
I'm self-taught as well, but I made what I think was a good decision a few years ago to join a camera club in Montreal called the Lakeshore Camera Club. Hi, shout out to the LCC. And I'm really lucky because it's a club that has all kinds of different photographers, and there's like photojournalists, and there's commercial photographers, and then there's like grandma who wants better pictures of her grandkids. And so they have a lot of workshops and activities that have helped me learn as well. So that's been really good for me. Other than that, no real school or anything.
Cool. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Self-taught, kind of same as Sachin, and a few like workshops, or studied a lot of people's blogs or read books. But yeah, self-taught.
Yeah, I'm self-taught too. This is my first workshop. I did take a basic DSLR camera way back when, just so that I could know how to use my camera. But since then, it's been same thing that Jasmine did. Get on forums, get in touch with people, see what everybody's talking about and learning about, and that's kind of how I learned about Jasmine and got into everything. So, yep.
Great. So let's see. C. Krupka in the chat room is asking, how do you guys know what is appropriate to wear to a wedding, and what determines what you wear? And I know, Jasmine
Ruffle shirt.
talked about this, but
Rocking it today.
nice.
I was thinking that.
Good.
I did it purely for entertainment. I actually dressed professionally myself before Jasmine's directions. Jasmine did request that we dress like we're going to a business meeting, and that the guys wear 3 pieces. I just personally like to look nice, so I adopted that before. So I don't know what you guys.
Yeah, I guess, as if you're attending a wedding, you're a guest, try and blend in as much as possible. Yesterday I wore a suit, actually. I don't usually wear a suit. That's the first time I've worn, a full 3-piece. I usually wear a smart shirt, trousers, and a tie, depending on the weather and stuff. But at the same time, I want to stay comfortable. But for me, whatever the lead photographer is, if I'm second shooting, I ask them what's the best, what do they want me to wear? Because at the end of the day, you're representing their company. So you want to be in line with their branding and be professional for them. So ask the lead shooter, or just do what you would do if it was your own wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes clients will ask you to wear something specific too, though. Like I've had clients that have said, please wear all black. Like, we don't want to see you, kind of thing. So okay, which makes it really easy actually, because if they tell you something specific, then it's a no-brainer. But otherwise, I just try to look professional and be comfortable. I don't wear heels though. Like I don't know how Jasmine can wear heels sometimes. I always wear flats because I don't want to be like limping around with blisters halfway through. So.
Well, I have a question from Sarah in the chat room, and she wants to hear your craziest wedding stories. What's the craziest thing that's happened at a wedding?
Daniela as well.
Let's hold Danielle. Danielle's actually going to come in for the second hour of this, and we'll pelt her with questions.
Okay.
For
Okay, we'll save that one for you.
Yeah.
Great. I
Anyone?
actually shot a wedding once where I was shooting the cake, and they were doing the cake cutting, and somebody from the audience, like one of the best man, not the best man, but like one of the groomsmen, thought it would be really funny to pretend to take the top tier off the cake and pretend to throw it at the bride and groom. And it was like one of those multi-tiered cake with like the little delicate sort of, columns supporting each tier. So he goes up and he takes the top tier off the cake, and he goes back like this and holds it up as though he's gonna throw it at them, and yeah, it fell on the ground. And there was everybody was mortified, But luckily I had shot the cake way before, just to make sure that I had, and we had done sort of a fake cake cutting, so we still had pictures of them cutting the cake. But at the moment, everybody was mortified. But after, the bride and groom kind of laughed about it because it became sort of one of those funny stories that they tell at their wedding,
For me, probably we were shooting a wedding, and me or the other head photographer had the car keys, but we didn't know which one had it, and we got all our gear out of the boot and then shot the boot, and the car keys with some of the gear was still in the boot, and we were like, oh my god. But we had 2 hours to like take the bride and groom out, do all the shots, but the car company actually came within 20 minutes to open up the boot. I don't know how they did it, but it like saved us. But we were calm in front of the bride and groom. They had no idea, and so it was perfectly fine. So but that was pretty scary.
I have a question from, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, iBaronX, retweeted by photos by Lenny. What did you learn about how Jasmine and JD relate to the bride and groom specifically while they were working, and the guests?
They're in the mix. I mean, they're very, very personable with them. I think they're doing all that they can to make them all feel comfortable. And I watched JD as JD and I were going around doing kind of candids. He would do a lot of candids, then he would just kind of talk to people a little bit, and then after he talked to them, he'd be like, hey, can I grab a quick picture of you? And he'd grab a quick picture. So they're very, very personal, almost like they're friends with the guest, but at the same time, inconspicuous and not in the way. It's a very, very cool balance and a cool mix that they have. And obviously, Jasmine, she's constantly making the bride feel comfortable. What can we do for you? you're the star type thing. So
Yeah, I really noticed how she just continued to take charge of the situation, like she had talked about before,
keeping control.
keeping in control, but also with sort of the bride still as as the key person.
Yeah.
But
And that was one of her main concerns during the day. She always kept asking, is Laura happy? Is Laura happy? Is Laura happy? Is everybody happy? Good. So she...
is Daniela happy?
Well, it's true because there's definitely some photographers who are so worried about getting their shots that it's and they want to control the situation, but they do it in a way that it's not as easy to work with. So with Jasmine, it was great because I'm able to tell her, okay, we've got 5 minutes to this, or this has been moved up 10 minutes. Does that work for you? And she says, yes, it's great for me. And she makes sure that she can be there for that shot. And not be the kind of person that would say, well, no, I'm not going to be ready for that shot. We need to make the bride wait. She's not ever going to make the bride wait. She's going to make it work. She's going to make that couple happy, and everyone, again, we all work together as a team really, really well, which is really nice.
Well, yesterday, she came up to me and said, how is Craig doing?
Yeah.
And I was like, really? You have all this going on, and you are thinking about how Craig's doing. You're awesome.
I was watching the rewatch, and that was on. We got that on mic. So I actually got to. Yeah, I think Craig. She is worried about me. I mean, she's the one that is under all the stress.
I hope you didn't hear my response, because I
No,
was
'cause
like,
you weren't
forget Craig!
You weren't mic'd up.
Worry about yourself. Craig's fine. Sorry, Craig.
What I would have said.
Okay, I have kind of a hard question.
Oh, dear.
I love the hard questions. From Jen in the chat room, again. What do you think sets you apart from any of us, meaning the people watching? And she goes on to say, i.e., why are you in Seattle and we're sitting here watching you?
That is a hard
And
one.
yes, I give you permission to toot your own horn. So I think it's kind of interesting. Hard.
Wow, that's
Maybe talk about making your video, and because you were all selected. If people don't know that, these students were selected by Jasmine Star and Creative Live.
I'll actually just speak up. I think that's actually a little bit unfair to us as students, because I mean, Jasmine is not. Okay, so let me just jump in and say, Jasmine was not picking the best video. She was not picking the best videographer to come here. Many of you didn't have the best videos, but you had one of the best videos. But and I believe it was really difficult for Jasmine. We talked about this a lot. She really was looking for people with different levels of experience, and and a mix of women and men. And so once you found an inexperienced female, that was one slot. There was one slot. I mean, and we tried to get from different parts of the country, different parts of the world. So she really was trying to create an environment where you guys would be a representative for a wide base of people out there. So this was not a popularity contest to see who who had the best ability to put together a 30-second video. She really was looking for people she'd feel comfortable with, and she could live with for 5 days, and
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
important.
yeah.
Okay, you guys got out of that one.
Yeah. They really, it's and we can't have a class about learning to be yourself, and I think ultimately she picked you guys because you were yourselves, and you represented some things that need to happen in the classroom in order to be able to have this work for her. So this was not about picking the best photographers, the best videographers, the best storytellers. This was not a contest. This was an audition, or looking for people to be basically second shooters for Jasmine for a very specific thing.
But you guys are all fabulous.
But in other words, I don't want the people listening.
No,
we
I
had
know,
120
I
people
know.
who submitted videos, and I had a couple people tweet up afterwards and said, thank God for some of these picks, because it means that I have a chance of being able to be picked. I mean, your video was great, but it was just a straight on you talking at a camera.
And I didn't even fulfill the 60 seconds.
Yeah.
I had to put a little thing at the end.
Exactly, and if yours would not have been the top video pick, one of the top 6 videos, but that wasn't the criteria. The criteria, there was other criteria involved, and it was a matter of finding the right match for the right people, that would be able to bring the right type of questions and background and experience. And Jasmine's very, very, she's very, very smart. She
Yes,
doesn't
she
take
is.
things lightly, and she puts a lot of work
Strategic.
into it. She's very strategic.
She did a good job picking people that would get along too, because
Yeah.
we've all gotten
Yeah.
along really well. We've all been hanging out like afterwards
Yeah.
and going out and doing stuff, and so I think that was really cool for us too, because we've made like new friends.
I've heard there's like this name for the Creative Live 5. I've heard like
Oh, that's good.
We've also been referred to as the J-Star groupies, but
Right.
I
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I like the
that.
Creative Live 5 better. I like that.
That's what your T-shirts will say.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Jasmine talked about always having a second shooter. Can you guys talk about your experience and how you, if you are first shooters, how you find your second shooters? It's one thing, for Jasmine to talk about it, but people would like to know. Helena V specifically in Twitter would like to know.
That's a question for that side.
Okay, or if you're a second shooter, how did you, how have you been getting your gigs with first shooters?
Well, as a second shooter, I get the gigs through just answering every request possible through the B School, through Twitter, through other people who have just mentioned things. I have some friends in the community. My wedding photographer, I connected with her, and she referred me to some other people to connect with. So whenever they say they need help with anything, I respond to that. Whether or not they answer, I respond to every single one. There's somebody that I've responded like 6 times, and he has not had me come, but I keep going.
Good.
I keep doing it, and that has brought other jobs. And they say, "Oh, well, I have someone for this weekend, but could you come next weekend?" And I'm there. So that's how I.
And do you do them for free?
No.
That's an honest
trying to
answer.
build
Yeah.
my brand. I
Exactly.
gotta start somewhere. So we do talk about what that's going to be. I don't have a going rate, but I do want to know beforehand. What is that going to entail?
Great. Anyone else?
Yeah, I've second shooted a lot, and for me, if I was looking for another second shooter, I would want someone who's kind of really creative, bring something different, and also has experience, I guess, within wedding photography, and can kind of get the shots that I'd like to get, but also give me something just new and fresh, and that's going to help me learn as well, and give them good experience. But to get out there, I just recommend really just getting out there, network, meet other photographers, and just keep talking, keep networking with people, and that's really the best way to get out there. And at the start, I didn't get paid. But I just wanted to shoot. I just wanted to be out there. So I think the first 3 or 4, were just completely free. I was doing a lot of reflecting, carrying bags and stuff. But I was there at a wedding, and I was like thinking, how would I shoot this? What would I be looking out for? And you learn a ton by just watching the other photographers and being in tune with them. And then you can say, now is it okay if I can start getting a bit of money? But to be honest, beggars can't be choosers. I strongly recommend, if you want to shoot weddings, and there's a lot of people who are out there who want to shoot, just get out there and just do it, and then get comfortable with things, and then you can start asking for a rate maybe and go from there. So, but definitely if you're experienced and stuff, then you should be getting paid because you're working.
Anyone else?
Well, I'll just say, I don't know, just ask. It doesn't hurt to ask. Stephanie and I were talking about this last night, and you know what? Just put yourself out there. Put yourself out there. Go meet new people. It never hurts to ask to go out and just to ask someone if you can second shoot for them and send them some of your work. And I've had a lot of emails come in of people that want to second shoot for me, and I usually just ask them if I can see their work, and it just kind of depends. I don't know. I haven't shot a ton of weddings at all. I'll just keep it real. I haven't shot hardly any weddings, and so I haven't had a big need of going out and finding second shooters a lot. It's actually been kind of funny though. I've been talking a little bit with my wife about second shooting, so we're going to experiment with that. But I guess it's kind of different for everyone. But I don't know. That didn't answer the question. But.
Come be a chat host at Creative Live, and then you
Yeah,
can start
there you
assisting
go.
John Gringo.
There you go.
My dream.
So
Can
what-
I ask one more question for Aubrey?
Yeah, and I would say let's ask maybe a couple more. I'd like to wrap up in about 8 minutes, and maybe just take a quick break, and then we can have
Danielle.
Danielle, thanks. My brain is a little bit sleepy right now.
Get Craig a Mountain Dew.
Yes, some caffeine.
Okay, Aubrey, this is from May.
Audrey.
Audrey.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, see, all the
All
names,
there.
all the names have left.
Somebody wrote that, so that's probably why.
Audrey?
Yeah, Audrey.
It's Audrey.
Actually, it says right here, Audrey, so I'm not sure what happened. So, Audrey, do you plan to take this American wedding photography approach to Denmark? And the person's asking because they are a Dane living in the U.S., and they'd like to know if you feel that this kind of fab photography would work for the not-so-vain Danes.
It is true, though, that Denmark and all of Scandinavia and Europe in general is very, very, very different types of weddings there. But I definitely think that there's a lot that I can take from here and try to bring in there. And that's actually one of the things that I've been looking at the markets there and seeing the photography, and I just, I want to try and raise the bar. That's my goal for me when I go back. Not to sound pretentious or anything, but in Scandinavia there's a lot that can be done, and if you're there, then yeah, you can try to stick with what's around, but you can also try to learn from other places and see, hey, maybe there's something, maybe there's room for something a little bit different here, something that hasn't been done before. Maybe we can bring something to Denmark or France or Italy or wherever you are, and try to make it your own in the way you like, and just keep it real and be yourself. And so for me, I've been influenced by the US so much that I would be a lie to just stick to the way things are in Denmark. Of course I'm going to pay attention to that, but the rest is going to be added to that.
Good answer.
Thank you.
We do have more questions,
Yeah.
or do you want to?
Let's go for a few more, and then
Okay.
we can. I'm kind of watching the clock. I'd say maybe
Okay.
5 minutes more.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
So we started to talk about this, but I don't know if anyone can get into specifics about photos by Jenny and photography by T are wondering what a reasonable fee for a second shooter is.
I said,
I think it depends where you are
Yeah, exactly.
and what the scale of the wedding is,
Right.
you know, and how much experience you have.
And also, if you're going to be editing your own images, or if you're just passing the images on
Yeah,
to the actual
exactly.
photographer.
Yeah,
What are other factors then
Who
that
the,
might go
who
into
the
it?
first shooter is, too.
yeah. Like the budget, you know. I mean, if you're getting, because you can pay all kinds of ranges for a photographer. Like where I am in Montreal, if you look on Craigslist, you could get a wedding photographer for like $750 that'll shoot your whole wedding and give you albums and whatever, right? So if that person was hiring a second shooter, I can't imagine them paying them a ton of money, like, I don't know, $10 an hour, but I guess it depends. So if you want to earn more as a second shooter, I would guess, you know, work for Jasmine or something, where at least like there's some sort of a budget built in to cover that, you know?
Plus, it depends probably a little bit on also if they're going to be doing a lot of shooting. I mean, I know it's called second shooter, but if they're going to be doing a lot of shooting, or more of like assistant work, more of like holding the BAM or carrying the bags or getting water and stuff. And obviously, the second shooter does that as well. But I think there's a whole variety of things that it depends upon. And also, I mean, whether they're doing it just to build their portfolio, whether they just want to come and do it for free just to build their portfolio, and whether they have the rights to use their images. A lot of second shooters do not have the rights to even use their images that they shoot. So whether they even have the rights to use their images, kind of what their workflow is going to be after that. If all they're doing is going and shooting, and then they're done, it just kind of depends.
Great things for people to think about out there who are just starting. So thanks.
Okay, another question from, can I do one more question?
Yeah.
From Doofus Snoop in the chat room. The question is, as a second, third shooter, how did meeting Laura and Billy beforehand influence what you shot?
Well, I think because we weren't really the primary shooters at the wedding, I don't know that meeting them beforehand made a huge difference, because we weren't really interacting with them so much on the wedding day. We were more in the background. We were doing the candid shots and sort of the other stuff that the main photographer wasn't getting. What was cool about meeting them was that you got a sense of their personality, and that translated into the personality of the guests and the other people that were at the wedding. So you just knew that everyone that was going to be there was going to be approachable and open to the idea of having the paparazzi around throughout the whole thing, and So for me, it helped me because I mean, when I'm doing a wedding, I typically interact with the guests and the family and stuff, and try to, you know, be friendly with them so that they're comfortable in front of the camera. And I did the same thing here. I don't know if that answered it, but.
It helped me shoot the candidates of the guests because knowing their personalities and that they're fun and they have a sense of humor, I was going for the guests that were laughing and, you know, the kids that were being goofy, and I knew that they would probably appreciate some of those shots rather than just like the more serious and, you know, like someone staring at another person, you know, where some people are very serious and they just want those intense moments. So that helped me to kind of gauge what I should be shooting of the guests.
I think also more than anything, for me at least, meeting Laura and Billy just put me at ease. I mean, I wish everyone could meet them. They're a really, really cool couple. I mean, they're awesome. Yeah. They are hilarious. Laura is just so charming and wonderful, and Billy is just hilarious and just funny, and they're the coolest couple. And I think more than anything, they just put me at ease that this is a really cool couple, and they are awesome, and we're gonna do our best to get awesome images for them.
Yeah.
And that they have a really cool life, and just, I don't know, they're very, very likable. They feel like really good friends, and they're an amazing couple. So more than anything, just put me at ease.
I feel like Jasmine was saying the same thing about them, just how much she loved them as a couple,
Yeah.
and that made her, I remember her saying, it makes me want to just go above and beyond.
Yeah, so much.
For sure.
Which is great to see.
Do a good job. That's cool.
Okay. I think maybe look for one more closing question.
Okay.
Go Kenna.
All right. So we had some tweets about, you know, this is great because a lot of the people out there are budding photographers versus in the position of Jasmine Star. So great to hear your comments. And let's see, Eshimon Photo wants to know if you guys do have other daytime jobs or if photography is your main job. People want to know more about you guys.
Great. So I used to be in online advertising, but right now I'm at home taking care of my baby girl. And that time with her kind of moved me along in the process of, hey, I have this cool dream in my head. And maybe this is a good time to kick it off and get going with it. So right now, no other daytime job than taking care of my little girl.
I am like right in that transition phase. I feel like I'm about to make that transition to full-time, but it's kind of off and on. So when I'm off on photography, I do door-to-door sales actually. I'm a sales rep. I sell alarm systems. So
you must be great at that.
No, I wish I were better. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun because I have a lot of flexibility. So it gives me a lot of flexibility to be able to put all my time and all my eggs in the basket of photography. And I feel like right now I'm starting to get enough jobs that I can switch over to full-time.
I'm full-time, but that doesn't mean that I work every single day or that I shoot a wedding every weekend. Like, I'm totally not there yet. But I made the transition to sort of full-time last year when I'm really lucky that I have a boyfriend who's very supportive and encourages me to follow what I want to do. And he also runs his own business. So I help him with his business, and I'm trying to build my photography business. So I don't have like another day job, but I don't know, I guess I'm sort of full-time, part-time kind of thing.
Cool. I'm actually an accountant, auditor. So I did that. I qualified as a CA about a year and a half ago. And since then, well, I wanted to move to Canada. So I was out there for a year and I was contracting as an accountant. And basically working Monday to Friday. Every Saturday or Sunday would be second shooting in the summer. So I was pretty much working 7 days a week then. And then I moved back to London. I'm currently waiting for my permanent residency to come through. So immigration, if you're out there, please. I'm waiting for that email to come through. So yeah, so that's where I'm right now. And I'm going back to London in a few weeks. So I'll be an accountant again, but I'll be shooting every weekend and doing the Strobist stuff that I do and just keep practicing.
Awesome.
And then when I get out to Canada, so I'm taking on 2 life changes. I'm like moving country and trying to set up a new career as well. So, yeah.
Awesome.
I just went full-time July. Before that, I was in grad school and I was a teacher and juggling too much. And so now, kind of more simple in some way, but I'm kind of. But I'm doing photography full time now.
Awesome. Well, people online are just saying, thanks for keeping it real, you guys, and really enjoying hearing about you. So.
Yeah. Internet loves you all.
Absolutely. Thank you. Applause to our students.
Fab five, fab five.
All right, so what I think we're going to do is we are going to mute the mics here for just a really 5-minute stretch break. Going to reset a little bit. I'm going to invite Danielle up here, and we're going to keep your questions coming. So if you have questions in particular about the planning it took in order to bring this wedding together in 4 weeks. Wow.
It's
How
the
many
wedding
hours?
hangover.
How many
Yeah.
hours is that, Craig?
You know what? It's
Too many.
yeah, too many.
And not enough at the same time.
You can count the number of hours that Danielle and I didn't sleep. You know, primarily Danielle. So anyway, so we'll be back in about 5 minutes. You get to watch us just walk around, and your questions for Danielle, continued questions for our students, and in particular, we had a lot of people who expressed an interest in Danielle's background getting published in a number of different magazines, and she's brought some examples of that with her, and might be able to talk a little bit about techniques or what photographers need to do in order to be able to get in magazines. So thank you very much.
And Daniela Rajkumar says you look very beautiful today, even after the busy schedule of the last 2 days.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so we'll be right back. Be right back.
Cool.
think those are
Okay, folks, we are back. Thank you for taking a short little break. We are going to, I'm going to introduce Danielle in a moment here. Just talking with everyone else about what's coming up. We are going to talk for maybe anywhere between, honestly, it depends on you guys in terms of how many questions you have for both the Seattle students and Danielle in terms of organizing this wedding. We can spend up to a half hour with you. We can spend maybe an hour with you just kind of taking your Q&A, talking with Daniela. Then we're going to take a short lunch break. When Jasmine comes in around 3 o'clock our time, which is about, what is that, an hour and a half from now? Am I doing my math
Yes.
right? About an hour and a half from now, she'll be showing us the full collection of images from yesterday's wedding. So she's got all the selects in place. She's going to be showing us just raw out of the camera. I'm not sure how many total images there are, but basically this is when we get to see all the stuff that she captured. So, it's going to be a lot of fun. So I would like to introduce, as part of the wedding photography course here, we have Daniela Isabella Faget, also known as Bella, of Bella Design. And it is Daniela that brought together this wedding in just 4 weeks. She signed on to make this a reality and did it. I mean, and did it. Absolutely. Yes, yes. And if I can have you introduce yourself and give you a little bit of background, then we can kind of take people through some of the publications you've been featured in, and then we can allow the internet to take us where they want to in terms of questions.
We're ready with questions.
All right.
Okay, great. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Germany and came to the States in the 80s, and so it's nice because I kind of have